I think that's it. We're live. What's up, everybody? Welcome.
Awesome.
Yeah, welcome to the Brothers in Arms Gamecast, where two brothers come and talk about games and gaming industry, what's going on, what we're interested in, and what we think is cool and unique, and just stuff going on in the gaming industry. I'm Crazy Mate Gaming.
This is Infinite Double A.
Yeah, so let's get into it. I'm super excited. We got some great things to talk about.
Yeah, we do actually.
Stuff with Stadia, and they closed their first party studios. What's up with that? And we've got Mass Effect. They're remaking Mass Effect, the trilogy, all three games. We've got Halo Infinite side project with a question mark. I should have put on in the title, and Battlefield 5 Battlefield 6. Yeah, Battlefield 6 is announced and release date. Do you know that? Wasn't quite sure.
They don't. Fall 2021.
Yeah. And it's a next gen exclusive. We know that. That's freaking awesome. along with our impressions of the medium. We played the medium. I haven't finished it yet, so uh, I don't know how far I am into it, but I'm not going to spoil anything. But we're going to talk about our impressions of it, and yeah, so let's get into it, bro. We got Google Stadia, and they're they're not closing down Stadia. They're not scrapping it. They're just shutting down their first party studios. So that means they're not going to have any first party games. There's not going to be any like PlayStation's God of War. There'll be a third party platform only. What do you think about this? Do you think it's even going to work out for them? Because we know Google in the past they've just they've taken things that they don't see instant, or they don't see enough profit or growth soon enough to where they're like, we're just gonna scrap it, and they just throw it in the bushes. It's gone forever. Is that gonna happen to Stadia, or do you think they will actually stick with this and it will be profitable for them and they'll actually be able to make it in the gaming industry space?
So, what I think about what's happening with Stadia right now is I think they're just wanting to do some restructuring, changing how they're going about their business. So, Stadia is a hard one because they jumped in super early compared to the competition. I mean, besides Xbox, but Xbox has been taking it slow. I think Xbox has been doing it right with xCloud. And Stadia, they wanted to be the first. So they bring it out there. It was pretty much a beta, but you had to pay. You're still having to pay a subscription. You had to pay for the Chromecast Ultra. You know, they didn't even have it on any other phones besides Android phones. So I think what we're seeing here is they're not dead. Stadia is not dead. The headlines will fool you. Stadia is not dead. But Stadia, I feel like, is in some murky waters because they announced when they announced Stadia about a first party studio that was going to be making some games. And now they're saying, well, we're kind of cutting down on first party. We're not focusing on first party. And it's to be seen whether that's now or forever, but I think it's just for now. They want to try to make it a third party platform.
Yeah,
A good
is that going to work though without first party games to really attract somebody? If you have a game on Stadia that's on every other platform, the majority of every other platform, what's going to make somebody want to go to Stadia rather than any other place they could get it?
Well, if they can up their game, you got all Android phones. If you can get some good games on Stadia that aren't on xCloud or Game Pass Ultimate, good third-party games, and the fact right now what Stadia actually has going for them that xCloud doesn't have is the ability to stream games on your PC and TV via the Chromecast Ultra, right?
Yeah.
So right now, xCloud you can't stream games to your TV without a box, right? But even then, it's not streaming because if you buy an Xbox, you download the games through Game Pass, right? But if you
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
care to own a box, you still gotta buy a Chromecast Ultra, and that comes with getting into the Stadia Pro sub, which you can sub for free. There's a free option, but the issue is you don't get the Chromecast Ultra for the free option. You don't get the controller for the free option, and you still have to pay to buy the games to play on the platform, right?
Yeah,
And when you do,
that doesn't make sense for me. It's like, and the major thing that I think about now is like, and it's like I don't, and I'm probably not the only one. It's like I don't want to buy anything from Google on Google Stadia just to have the fear of them scrapping Stadia, and then I've given them money and now I have nothing. But with a subscription service, I don't own those games anyways, and if I stop paying, I didn't buy any of these games anyways. I didn't spend $60-$70 on these games. I spent $15 a month for a huge library of games, exclusive games, and a bunch of other perks and stuff that come along with it. Like, Xbox knows the gaming industry. Google does not, and Stadia has showed that. They showed that they don't know, and I don't know if they'll have the guts to get into this industry. If they, I don't think they'll. It might affect their wallet too much. I don't know. They've got a big wallet, but I just don't think they're cut for this industry. From even with this look, they don't understand it, and if they really want to keep going and make it a viable service that they'll continue to stick with, then yeah, they can make it work. But if you have people, a lot of people in the gaming industry, just like we know about Google's other failed projects, it leaves them a little bit hesitant to get into it already as it is, and especially with people seeing what's happening now, it's making it a little worse for them. So I just see it coming downhill for them. But if they do stick with it and learn and change and make changes and learn from mistakes, like getting a library on there where you don't have to buy the game. You pay a subscription, you don't have to buy the game. You can kind of get some people into there. It's like if you want to buy the game, you can. Like Game Pass, through Game Pass, you can buy games. If you want to buy the game, you can. And get people kind of in there by having that free subscription. It's like, okay, it's free, and if you buy a game, you can play that game you bought through our service for free. They still make money because they're buying it through their service, through the Stadia service. So Google and Stadia is still making money on that transaction through that bargain. Even though it's free, I can get on Google, I have a Chromecast or whatever. I tell it, hey Google, play this game, and it'll just open up the game and start streaming from my TV. That's awesome. That's really cool. But having both, making it to where you have to not only pay the subscription but buy the games as well. If they have a subscription service where you can, that will kind of get people into Stadia's technology.
It is a free. There is a free tier of Google Stadia. There is a free tier of Google Stadia. You don't get the controller. You don't get the Chromecast Ultra. Those two things are very important to be able to play on a TV. At least the Chromecast Ultra. You cannot play Stadia games on any TV without a Chromecast Ultra. They don't have an app on a TV, right? So the controller has a little more functionality, but not much, than a regular controller. You can Bluetooth any controller to your phone, to your PC, to your TV, and play, right? To play on TV, you need Chromecast Ultra. There is a free tier and there's a pro tier. The pro tier gives you some free games, right? Some free games to play.
What is the free tier? You can't play it on your TV. It has to be either. Is there a phone?
You can if you have a Chromecast Ultra. You can if you have a Chromecast Ultra. Even if you're on the free tier, if you don't go for the pro tier. The pro tier, it's $100 up front. You want to get the Chromecast and the controller, right?
Yeah.
And then a month of the pro tier, and then you continue paying the pro tier at $10 a month, right? With some free games, maybe some perks they might do in the future. But the free tier, you just are able to buy games on there. You don't get the Chromecast Ultra unless you buy that separately, and you don't have the controller itself unless you buy that separately. So if you wanted to play on your phone, right? You
Yes.
want to play one game, you don't want to buy hardware. You want to play on your phone. Say you want to play Destiny 2 on your phone and you don't know about Game Pass or Xbox, you don't care about xCloud, and you wanted to go through Stadia because you like Google, okay? Then you can Bluetooth any controller to your phone, play on Stadia with that paid game on their service, and stream Destiny 2 on your phone. Now, an issue that Google did have before, which has been fixed,
See, that's
is that
good
they
though.
actually
That's a
didn't.
good thing
Yeah,
that they should keep,
that is a good thing.
but widen the spectrum of options you have to play. If it's just on your phone, oh, you got to spend this money. That's still buying hardware to enter into the game. A Chromecast, that's still buying hardware. You already have a TV, just downloading an app, even on your computer, TV, or everywhere.
But they don't
They need to
have an app
have,
on the
yes,
TV right now.
they need to. They need to have these options, and we're gonna see if they do it,
We
or
hope.
if it continues to keep going downhill, and they make crucial mistakes that uh, ends up having them scrap and just toss Stadia in the bushes.
So I hope Stadia doesn't get tossed in the bushes.
I hope
They
not too.
jumped in first because they wanted to be the first actual out of beta, even though it wasn't out of beta. In my opinion, it wasn't. But technically, it wasn't in beta because of you pay for the service, right? And you can't make someone pay for a beta like that, or like that type of thing. Anyways,
Yeah, see, they
they
jumped the gun. That's the thing. Oh, we are
they did.
Google. We have money. We can do whatever we want. Let's just release
Here's
a
what we need
half-assed
to see
project.
now.
People are gonna buy it, and we'll get away with it. And yes, they need to do massive changes. They jumped the gun way too much. I feel sorry for those people that went into Stadia at the very first. You know, it's like wait a little while because it seems like there's just it's a money grab part of it because you're getting a half par service for way too much money for way too high of a price.
Yeah, I mean, what I want to see them do is they can not make first party games for now, I feel like, for now, but they need to have third party or second party exclusives on their platform. I'm not saying exclusive like you can't put this game on any other platform. I'm saying it's not in Game Pass. It's not in it's not
Yeah,
in
yeah,
Luna. It's not in Game Pass, it's not in Luna. So when it comes to streaming the game, sure, it's published. The game's made for Xbox and PlayStation, but you have to own the console and have either the disc or the digital download, right? But the exclusive content when it comes to streaming games, they need to get third-party exclusive content because there's people who don't care about owning a box under their TV.
yeah,
Some
yeah. There
people just
is.
want to play on their phone, on their PC with streaming and TV possibly, right?
Yeah, and I think
So,
that is
I mean,
very. I think the first one to have an app on the TV out of Luna, Stadia, and Game Pass will be a huge advantage for them.
I think it will, and it's actually been an advantage for Google to have it on the PC. You have to do it through Chrome, right? It has to be through Chrome, and it's an extension. But on the PC, there's no other streaming besides PlayStation Now, right? But
Yeah,
PlayStation Now is not up to par. PlayStation Now you can do on your PC, select games, I believe, right? But Google Stadia is an actual streaming service that's better. They have the server infrastructure. It's there.
yeah, they do.
100% Google has the money to back it. They have the server infrastructure. Now they need the knowledge on how to run a gaming business because what Xbox has that Google doesn't have is experience. They have
Yes,
experience in the game.
yes, yeah, and that Google jumped the gun, and are they willing to put in the time and effort to make mistakes and learn and gain the experience that they need to become a viable competitor in the industry?
Personally, I'm not gonna get into Stadia ever. I don't like Google's track record. Google Plus. Oh, we're gonna jump in and do Google Plus, right? And Hangouts. Oh, Hangouts. We got Hangouts going on and all this stuff. It's just cancel and cancel and cancel. I had my favorite music streaming service of all time, Google Play Music. It was perfect for me, and they canceled it for this crap called YouTube Music that I only use because I have YouTube Premium and I don't want to have to pay for another sub on like Spotify or something. And I don't like Google's track record. I do feel like if they can't get enough ground and enough steam, and if they can't push forward and make this happen and actually gain a profit off of it, they're going to cancel Stadia eventually. But I don't think that time is now. I think they're looking for restructure. I think that they're wondering why they didn't do better last year and throughout the pandemic, and what they can do. Because it was actually a bad time for Google to get into game streaming. I mean, in a sense, people on their phones, like people have been at home most of the time this past year,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
People aren't
that's
want to
true.
play on their phones if they have their PC or their TV right there. Now, they did have the advantage with the PC and the TV. Like the PC through Chrome, easy. Anybody can play Stadia. Like the free tier, the pro tier, doesn't matter, right? Buy a game. You have to buy a game. The pro tier doesn't mitigate you from having to buy the games. You just have to buy them. You just get a select free games every month, right?
Yeah,
So, and the TV with the Chromecast Ultra, but you got to have. Yeah, I'm pretty sure with the TV and the Chromecast Ultra, I don't think they actually have an option to have any random Bluetooth controller. I think with that one, you have to have the Google Stadia controller. But I know on the PC and the phone, you can use any other controller. I don't know. It's one of those things we got to watch and see what Google's going to be doing
yeah.
with Stadia, but I don't trust them.
I think this is a sign that it's because if they're not willing to put in the money to, and it's like, yeah, yeah, they would just want to put in the money right now to get people onto the platform with third party, but eventually you're gonna need that first party AAA bangers that drives massive amount of people. That will drive massive amount of people to your platform, and that takes time. And scrapping your studios this early, it shows they're not in it for the long run. That's what I see. And that's my thoughts on it.
Maybe they were trying to put more money towards exclusive third-party content, even some DLCs or some items, be like, oh,
Yeah,
there's
but they
this.
got a lot of
Sony's
money.
really good at that.
They got
Sony's
a
really
lot of
good at
money.
that when it comes to exclusive items in either Destiny when they had the Destiny exclusivity, Call of Duty, and exclusive game modes. PlayStation's really good at that, and Google needs to do that. Maybe they were scrapping their studio for now to get the money and see if it's a viable
Yeah,
platform for
but
third-party games
for
and
now,
second-party games.
that's a mistake because you're gonna need it. Scrapping it for now, no, you should keep it up. If you want in this industry, you gotta push. You gotta show that you're willing to. Microsoft flex, Microsoft flexed their muscles with Bethesda. Their buy Bethesda, and that's what it takes. That's just, yeah, it's a huge library of fandom and content and a lot of great renowned studios. That's a lot of money, and if Google isn't willing to do what Sony does and put money into both first party games, making first party games, and spending an insane amount of money to get third party exclusive content, if they're not willing to do both like Sony does, scrapping your first party studios could be the worst thing you could do. It makes people even more skeptical about it, because why would you go into a platform, buy some games, just to have it a couple years down the road just gone, just vanished one day, and then all that money you spent, well, you might have gotten worth out of it by playing those games, but you can no longer play them. They're gone.
It's true. It's not like you have an
nothing now.
Xbox or a PlayStation where it's like, well, I own the disc. At least even if they went under, they'll at least let me play. And you to a point, you're right, because we are actually starting to see nowadays with the license and everything. If Xbox shut down in the next 5 years, do we know whether we'd be able to play our digital downloaded games? I don't. You don't.
Yeah, I
I
don't.
don't know if PlayStation went under in the next 10 years that I'd still be able to play PS4 digital games, The Last of Us 1 and The Last of Us Part 2. We don't know that. You honestly don't. But the thing with them is they are more viable because they've been in the game, you know?
That's the way they make money. Google
Yeah.
has that. PlayStation and Sony, most of their revenue is from PlayStation.
It's
And
true.
Xbox
Most of
and
Sony's
Microsoft,
revenue is.
yeah, Xbox has always been kind of a side project, but not now. You can see the massive profits and the massive industry, and that's what Google and Amazon are perking up at, and like, ooh, I want some of this. But are they willing to put in the work and the time and the money to do so? To me, it just doesn't seem like Google is.
Well, I don't know if they are. I hope they are, but I have my doubts. So if you look at Netflix, I don't feel like Netflix would have done near as good if they worried so much at the first about first party content, right? They
Yeah,
had third
yeah,
party shows, and I know Netflix didn't have direct competition at the time. They were the first, you know, and I think that's what Stadia was trying to do, be the first out there, right? But the thing is, with Xbox, they've been talking about it before anyways. Play your games anywhere. And when Xbox is talking about this, and they already have a track record of making games, granted, the Xbox One generation wasn't great. They have a track record of making games, knowing what they're doing at least somewhat, right? And
yeah.
they had the Xbox 360 generation, which people really clung to, right? So I do think that you can compare this to Netflix in a way because
Eh,
Netflix had to start out with
Netflix,
third-party content.
yeah, because they didn't have the money. They didn't have the money to pour in like they do now to these massive, amazing shows, these big hitters like Stranger Things. It takes a lot of money, a lot of talent to do that. It takes even more to make a game, and it takes even more time to make a game. So, starting to dip your fingers into that part of it, the sooner the better. But yeah, third party for Netflix that worked because I think first of all they didn't really have the money to do all the massive, amazing shows that they have now and exclusive content. They had to grow and build to that point.
You
Google
know,
Stadia has to do the same. They've got
Google,
to grow to
you can't
build to
tell
that, but
me right now that
they got
Google
the money.
has the money because yes, we know Google's a massive company, but to their investors, to the board members, what is Google Stadia looking like to them? Is it looking like a flop, right?
Yes, it
Is it
is.
looking like they have the money to pour into that when they have so many other endeavors that they have to keep Android up to date? They have the Google browser, they have Gmail, they have all this stuff.
It's
They
looking
have
like a flop
money,
because of what they
but they have
did.
to divvy the money out.
It's looking like a
So
flop because of the actions that they made and the way they marketed Stadia. It's not hugely known. See, I didn't even know there was a free version. Didn't even know that.
that's true.
And
Yeah, I agree with you on that. A lot of people didn't know there was a free version. A lot of people
so they
might have
screwed
jumped onto Google
themselves on it.
Stadia. And
They could have. They could have, but they screwed themselves on it. And you're right.
you know, they
That
even
probably is a
gave.
major reason why they are closing the studios. But if you see investors having that much push and pressure on them now, being like, "Oh, we don't want you putting that much money into your gaming industry," so they have to shut down their first party studios and put most of the money into a lot of put most of the money into third party content, exclusive content. They're gonna make mistakes. They're gonna have to learn lessons. And if it doesn't start to pick up soon, these board members that made them, that probably influenced them, I don't, in theory, speculating here, that they influenced them to cut budgets for Stadia, making them having to close their studios. What's to stop them from doing that again if they don't see fast or good enough profit margins or growth even in it?
Well, I don't know. The thing is, no company, any company can just be axed at any time, or any branch of a company, if they don't feel like, any company can go bankrupt at any time if their margins, they're not hitting their margins, and any branch can be axed if they're not profitable, So we'll see what happens with that. I mean, Google Stadia, if people want to stream games on their PC, they only want to play a game or two, or if they think Stadia is fun and they like Stadia, stick with Stadia. For me, Stadia is not for me, but the game streaming boom that's starting to happen with Xbox, Amazon, Google, Sony's wanting to get in on it, and Nintendo's going to have to follow suit if it gets big. They're not catering to us right now. They're catering to people who don't want to have a box under their TV. So I honestly think this is a wait and see type of thing, and we'll keep up to date on the news. But we could talk all night about Google Stadia and what we feel like they are. But we got other topics to get to, and I think I'm done talking about Stadia for now.
I said my piece, said everything I wanted to say about it.
True. What's next?
Mass Effect. So they're remaking the Mass Effect trilogy. So that's 1, 2, and 3. And I think they're doing most of the work needs to kind of be done with 1. See, they're not doing a massive amount of changes. It's just upping the graphics, and it's for people. It's for people who mostly. It is for the fans that kind of want to go back and play that, but it's like it can be really hard with those old graphics, and for new people that have never played it and they've only experienced games recently and don't want to go back to something that's outdated, so they're remaking it, updating it to modern times so they could get people who never played it into it to become a fan and possibly be ready and hyped and excited for the next one, the next Mass Effect that they're planning on putting out. That
they teased at the Game Awards.
Yes. But the question I have is, how far away is that? So if the Mass Effect,
I don't know.
How far away? What's the time span between the Mass Effect remake trilogy and the new Mass Effect game? Because if it's too much time, you'll get those new fans that is like, oh yeah, it was really, really, really good. But then when it comes time to time for the game to come out, the new game to come out, they may have just forgotten about it and don't realize to not care anymore. I don't know. You probably could have those people. But I think it's cool. I think it's good that they're remaking it. For those who want to go back and play a up-to-date version, or for those who've never played it, like me, I've never played the Mass Effect series. And it's like, can I call myself a gamer if I haven't? Yes, I can, but it's crazy. I haven't played the Mass Effect series, and it looks really awesome, really interesting. And, maybe I might go do that now, actually.
It's been almost 10 years since Mass Effect 3 came out. I think the remake actually needs to happen. No, I'm glad it's happening. I really am. And I might play the remake. I've been meaning to play Mass Effect games, but a lot of times it's like I don't usually go back to older games. I'm not, and it has nothing to do with, I'm not the type of person that thinks old games, why would you play old games? I think old games can still be a lot of fun. I played Fable the other year, a couple years ago, the original Fable on my Xbox because I was interested in the game series, right? So, but new and updated. It's not just a resolution bump. People are wondering, is it just a resolution bump? Because that's maybe all it is, just a remaster. I feel like it's not. I feel like it's an actual remake. They're redoing the UI.
Yeah.
From what I've seen, they redid the UI in some ways, and I feel like they might even redo the ending of Mass Effect 3 to try to make a better story for the new Mass Effect coming out. And I don't think the new Mass Effect is going to be 5 years out. I think maybe three. Hopefully, if they're releasing this remake trilogy right now in the next couple months, April, I believe, you take 2 or 3 years, so maybe 2023, 2024, right? And then the new Mass Effect game comes out. I think that's fine, but I think if they take 5 years, it's been almost 4 years since the last Mass Effect game came out, and it wasn't amazing. It was Mass Effect Andromeda. We all know how that turned out. A lot of people didn't like that, and but we also like EA and BioWare working on a lot of things right now. So it's to be determined exactly when it's
I
going to
don't
come
know
out.
if they'll have the time or budget to make a actual remake. I think it's a remastered. If it's coming out, I think
I
it's a remastered.
From what I've seen, it's more of a remake than a remaster. But when you talk about a remaster or remake, sometimes it can be remade, but they don't change that much. But it's still a remake because
Yeah.
they remade some things, right? Now, a remaster, usually everything's the same,
Are they changing
except
the
for it just
engine
gets a
too,
resolution bump,
or is it still going to be
right?
in Unreal 3, or are they putting in Unreal 4? Because if they're
I think if they were
remaking it,
smart, they would put it in Unreal 4.
yeah, if they're remaking it, put it in Unreal 4. But I think they said that they would have to remake it in order to put it in Unreal 4. I don't, from what I've heard, I don't know if they would have the time or budget to do that. So how much can you really update it in Unreal 3, or well, why would you really need to remake it if it's still in the same engine?
Well, true. I mean, we'll see what they've done with it. It could just be remastered in the sense that they changed some of the UI and they kept it in the same engine. They upped it to 4K. I mean, I don't know, but it looks fun. There's a lot going on with the game, and it, Mass Effect and BioWare and EA, they're teasing a lot on the game right now. It looks
Yeah,
a lot better in the Legendary Edition from what I see, and I think people are going to be happy with it. And I think it is going to pull in new players that have never played the Mass Effect series. It's out in the news. It's getting me and you thinking about Mass Effect. I mean, I know what Mass Effect is. I've never played it because during the Xbox 360 generation, I was a casual gamer, right? I wasn't a
yeah,
hardcore gamer like I am now. I was a casual gamer. So,
and I
yeah,
was too.
and
But
what?
oh, I was just saying I was a casual gamer too. But yeah, I we'll have to see more on what they say about actual uh, details, if it's going to be an actual remake or it's going to yeah, be a remastered or a remake. Uh, I personally think it's just going to be remastered. That's me. Um, but I'm looking forward to it. Definitely. I think I might actually jump into it. I'm really thinking about it. It's going to be an amazing journey. It's going to be really fun. I'm thinking about jumping into and playing Mass Effect for the first time with this. And see,
with the
that's the
Legendary
cross.
Edition.
Yeah, with the Legendary. That's what they want. They want new people that have never played or never known of the series to come in and play and become new fans.
Yeah. So the game is coming out May 14th, 2021, right? It was announced last year. It was announced on November 7th, 2020. That was my birthday. I remember Boom was talking about speculation of it being announced, and it was announced that day. So they are changing some things, like they're changing some camera angles in Mass Effect 2, right? And
Yeah.
there has been some rumors about the possibility of them changing the ending for Mass Effect 3 because that has a bad rap. I don't know what the ending was. I have not spoiled myself on this game or this series. I don't really know. If
Yeah, I
anyone in the
haven't either.
chat, like, don't spoil the game for us, please. But if you like the ending, let us know. If you didn't like the ending, let us
Yeah.
know. I
Yeah,
think
definitely.
Yeah, I think it's a split between a remake and a remaster, but I think they might be calling it a remaster. I mean, the game isn't even coming out for the series consoles or the PlayStation 5. It's coming out for PC,
Really?
PlayStation 4, and Xbox One. So it makes me think that they've kind of been developing this for the last couple of years, and they haven't
Yeah, they
really had
could
the
have been.
time to put in the
That
work
is
for the new
true.
consoles.
That is a good point. They could have been working on this for a while. So, well, yeah. We'll see. I'm definitely excited to see more about this and more about what's to come and what we're gonna expect when it actually comes, the release date, and uh, the differences in that it looks the way it looks between the old versions and the remastered versions.
And you can bet your bottom dollar that there's going to be people who are making comparison videos on YouTube about, oh, what does the Mass Effect on the 360 look compared to the Mass Effect Legendary Edition, the first game in that collection, right? You could bet your bottom dollar that people are going to be doing that. So it'll be interesting to see, and we will be talking more about Mass Effect as the months go on and as news comes out for Mass Effect and the game comes out, and if we play it, we'll talk about it then.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. That's all I gotta say on Mass Effect. There's not like a ton, uh, even out there. I don't think that we know about
There
it.
isn't
And
a
then
ton of news about it, but it
yeah,
has been in the news lately, and it looks good.
yeah, it does, and I'm excited. And let us know if you're never played it and if you plan on picking it up and playing it for the first time. I wanna know. That would be awesome. Uh, yeah, but moving the next one we've got is Halo. Speculating that
Ooh.
of a new Halo kind of spin off or something that 343 might be developing a Halo side project in the Halo universe. Uh, I don't know a super ton about this. This is you definitely know a lot more than me because it's Halo and love
Love
Halo. And
Halo.
of course, you can keeping up on all this stuff. What's your thoughts, bro? What's going on?
Well, it's rumors and speculation at the moment. It's been out in the news due to the fact that there was a job listing, right?
Yeah,
There was a new jobs listing for a producer, and it says that that under this job title and their job description that they would be helping to develop a new project in the Halo universe. So that's pretty much all we know. So most of this is actually speculation, right? It's just that there was a job listing for 343 Industries for a producer, right? Talking about the possibility of a new project in the Halo universe. Now, we can speculate on what that is and when we might see it and what the plans they have for Halo, because I love talking about Halo, and what I want for Halo, they haven't really been doing the last 5 years. What I want from it, they really haven't.
yeah, yeah. It's they've gotten hits in some places and misses elsewhere, and hits in some places, misses elsewhere. They can't seem to uh, hit the mark that they need to on both uh, the campaign and the multiplayer. Halo Wars 2, I really liked Halo Wars 2, uh, and Halo Wars 1 was fun as well. Um, but they definitely need with Halo Infinite, they definitely need to prove themselves. But I'm I'm fascinated by the thought of a different uh, Halo game based in the Halo universe.
Oh, I am too. I mean, there's so much that they could do. Like, for me, I would love them to make another ODS style game. I personally want it to be, if you were to ask me what do I want it to be the most, I would tell you Halo Wars 3, but I think that's a possibility, but I'm not 100% sure about that. I mean, I love Halo Wars, and Halo Wars 2 was my favorite Halo Wars game. I thought that they hit the mark on a lot of things. Like, I like Blitz or whatever that they had going on, and it was
Yeah,
fun to
that
me.
was
And I liked the
really fun
story in
game, really
Halo
great
Wars
game.
2. And what about? I mean, like they've had other side projects. I could name 4 off the top, like off right now. Like they had Halo 3 ODST, that was a side project, right? I mean, I
Yeah,
wouldn't call Halo Reach a side project, obviously. They had Halo Wars, Halo Wars 2, Spartan Strike, and Spartan Assault. Now, Spartan Assault and Spartan Strike were tablet games that they were trying that you could get on PC, tablet, and possibly Xbox as well. They were trying to do the play anywhere type of thing, but this was way before they actually had the play anywhere narrative, and you had to buy those all separately in different stores. Like if you bought it on the phone, you played it on the phone only. If you bought it on the PC, you played it on the PC only. If you bought it on the Xbox, you played it on the Xbox only, right? So they had those. They were smaller games. They were top-down perspectives that didn't follow any main characters in the story. And, obviously you had Halo 3 ODST, which followed um orbital drop troopers or
yeah,
whatever,
Dropship Troopers.
drop
Yeah,
shot troopers, and that was very eerie and different. And you weren't a Spartan, so you don't have the armor and all the capabilities that comes with having that armor and being a super soldier. So that was interesting. And Halo Wars around that time as well, they had that. It was a play in the RTS style, like let's jump into RTS, see how it does. And it actually was pretty well received for Halo Wars 1. People loved the game. Halo Wars 2 came out about almost 10 years later, like 8 years later or so. I think it was 8 because 2009 Halo Wars, and then 2017 Halo Wars 2. And Halo Wars 2 wasn't received as well as Halo Wars, but also what things that were going on in the Halo universe are just like with 343 at the time. It
yeah.
wasn't the best. It makes me wonder if they're actually going to make them do another Halo Wars game. I really want them to. There is a
Oh, I hope they
dedicated
do.
fan base for Halo Wars.
I would definitely play if they did make another one because I really enjoyed the story for Halo Wars 1 and 2. Well, with Atriox, uh, it it also I love the Halo lore and the Halo universe and having more side stuff that don't focus on the main characters that uh, expands the universe and tells a story. Uh, you know what I was thinking would be interesting if they did kind of like a horror themed one with the flood, and you kind of make
I
it really
think that would be
dense and
very interesting.
like a horror thriller or whatever that's scary and that I think that would be really popular and that would be really cool. Uh, do you so what do you think this is? Like this job listing? Do you think this rumor's true that they're they're making a side project? I even on RDX they speculated that it was that it'd be cool and could be a VR Halo game, and how
I
freaking
think
game
there's
changing and amazing that
options
would be.
there.
Yeah,
So what do I think? Do I think this is real? I obviously think that there's a lot of truth to it. I think that maybe the job listing could be skewed and people think it's one thing and not another. I think it could be something as simple as DLC, DLC for Halo Infinite, or
Yeah.
a new project, like something like that. But I also think it could be another Halo Wars game. I honestly hope it is, obviously, but VR is a possibility. But the issue with that is we haven't really seen Microsoft do much with VR, so I am inclined to not think it's VR. The most simple thing that it would be, I think it's true that they're doing something and they're calling it a new project. I think the most simple thing would be it's some sort of DLC for Halo Infinite, right? That they're just starting now. But at the same time, I'm inclined to believe it's more than that, because I don't think that they would be hiring another producer for a new project. I don't know. Like, I think that they would just, unless they're trying to get a, a good run
Yeah.
on getting some good DLC started early.
Yeah. Uh, I really, I don't know if it would be that. I don't know. I think it might be just the part of me that just wants a new Halo side project, a new Halo side story with that expands the lore of the universe, of the Halo universe. I hope it's that. I really do hope it's that.
Me too. I do.
But
As
either
as
way,
well.
as long as we get Halo Infinite and it's good, it's a great story, it's amazing graphics with an incredible multiplayer, they need to hit everything on the head.
They do.
In every
And
aspect.
I'm inclined to say a piece of my mind right now, because I am a massive Halo fan. It's my favorite video game franchise ever, and I defended 343 back in the day like no other. Right? Give them another chance. They're still making good games. They're just not hitting the mark in certain areas, right? When Halo 4 came out, I liked that game a lot. I liked the campaign and the multiplayer. I understand the multiplayer wasn't as good as any of the other Halos besides maybe Halo Reach. I mean, I didn't play a ton of Halo Reach, but the story was good, the atmosphere was good. Yeah, the art direction was a little bit different, but I defended 343 when it came to Halo 4. I liked that game, right? And when
I
it comes
liked
to
Halo
Halo
4
5,
too.
I love Halo 5 so much, and I defended 343 to my deathbed. I would defend them constantly, saying like, no, they're gonna get it. They're doing a good job, right? They're not. It's like they made a story that was confusing. It wasn't bad. To me, Halo 5 story is not bad. It really isn't. It's confusing. I'm into the lore. You really have to be into the lore to know what's going on. It's hard to stay focused on what's going on. It's hard to be captured and pulled into the story because it's a little confusing. But to me, it's a good story, right? And I love the Halo 5 multiplayer, so I was defending them. But these past years, I'm done defending them. They need to show what they're doing, because we have waited over 5 years for a new Halo game. I'm talking mainline story Halo game. I'm not talking Halo Wars 2, right?
Yeah, and
I
that
love the Halo Wars
showing
2.
kind of like just crushed it. It's just like, wow, you guys had so much time, and this is what you showing us,
Yeah, exactly.
and you're delaying it for a whole another year. I don't know if I have enough faith in you to even if you take that year for it to even be good enough and work out. You know, I can understand that. Yeah.
I am excited about Joseph Staten joining and becoming the creative lead. I'm really, really excited about that. I think he's going to do an amazing job. I do think Halo Infinite is going to hit the mark. I'm glad that they delayed it, but at the same time, I'm upset, because why in the hell are they taking so long? Why is this game taking 6 years to make? It better be the most amazing Halo game, making me wait 6 years from Halo 5 to Halo Infinite. It better be amazing. And I
Yeah.
love Master Chief Collection, and I'm so happy with what they've done with it, right? But at the same time, they what gets me is, why are you not treating Halo 5 with the same damn respect? Why am I not getting a Series X optimization port for Halo 5? Why do you not add content and seasons to Halo 5? Why are you treating Halo 5 like it just doesn't exist anymore? You barely focus on Halo 5. All you do is playlist changes. That's all. There's some playlist changes and new seasons, but the seasons need a revamp. They've been doing the same type of seasons, 3-month seasons that are just for ranked and stuff like that, and you don't earn things for playing, right? They're doing the same
Oh,
seasons
I kind of
been
agree
doing
with
since the
that.
game came out, right? Sorry, go ahead.
No, I kind of agree with that. Like, I enjoyed Halo 5 too, and it's like one thing they kind of just they had the multiplayer and it was good, and they kind of really abandoned it because it's like now a lot of the maps that they have are community made maps, and they got some not so great maps. Like quite a bit of maps are just like, why is this in here? Dedicate some time to actually making it better. But I get they're moving on to Halo Infinite and they've got the MCC, but it doesn't excuse them from not supporting Halo 5 more than they should have.
Exactly. So not only that, it's like you say you no have 343 says they have no plans to bring Halo 5 to PC. What is it? It gonna be the only Halo game that doesn't have a freaking PC port? Master Chief's Collection's got Reach in it. It's got Halo 4 in it. It's got Halo 1, 2, and 3, right? It's got ODST. You can play all those games on PC. Firefight. You can be able to play Halo Infinite on PC. Why can't I play Halo 5 on PC? Are you ever gonna work on that? Do you even care about that game? You put so much work into Halo 5. You're just gonna abandon it now, right? I understand they have a new game coming out, but it's been taking this long, and a dedicated fans of Halo 5, they're being made people who want to keep up to date with Halo. Like I watched Proximity, which he's a YouTuber, a Halo YouTuber, and he's really gotten better as a push towards doing like tournaments and actually doing some pro like competitions and stuff like that, right? Where he
Yeah,
wants to try to be per se the next Ninja at Halo because Ninja used to be really good at Halo or whatever, right? Or Ninja is a great gamer, whatever, an esports player. He wants to be an esports player. So he's sticking with Halo 5 because that's probably going to be the closest to what the multiplayer is going to be like in Halo Infinite, you know? So
yeah,
he's
makes sense.
playing this game dedicated numerous times a week, right? He's been playing it 5 years, right?
Okay.
And they're not doing crap with it. I don't like how they did so much Forge maps in that game. It's like
Oh, I didn't
they
either.
did really good at first. Every month, 2-3 months, they'd release a new map with the season, right? And it was an actual developer made map. But then now they just have all these Forge maps, and I'm not discrediting the people who made the maps. They're fine maps, but they don't hold a candle to the maps made by the developers with the developer tools. You
Yeah,
can't take the Forge tools and say, "Hey, these are as good as the developer tools for the maps." It's just not the same. Plus, you only have so many people making maps, and I don't want them to rely on the community as much as they have been for the game. I want the community to be added on content. I want it to be a cherry on top. I want the community content to be something extra. I don't want it to be the meat and potatoes of the game because they didn't have enough time or structured whatever the game in a way that they had to pull community content and make it act like that's the game with all these maps in ranked playlists, and all they do is change map selection in ranked playlists, change the season so it resets your whatever you are, whether your rank silver, gold, platinum, onyx. It's just I'm
it's
not.
sad and it's disappointing. It is.
It is.
Might be my
Maybe
scores.
maybe they just don't care about Halo 5 because it didn't. I mean, it sold good at first. Maybe it didn't sell enough. Maybe people didn't get the game received as well. But they're just abandoning it. Same thing they did with Halo Wars 2. They just have abandoned their player base. And this is what I don't like about 343 Industries is they always want to move on to the next thing, and when that doesn't hit the mark, then they just move on to the next thing. They act like that never even happened. And the only thing that they've even fixed is Halo and Master Chief Collection as a to the old fans. It's like nowadays they care about the old fans more than they do the new fans, which I'm more of a new fan, even though I did play Halo 3. I played a little bit of Halo 1 and Halo 2 before I ever played Halo 4 and 5. But what got me into the games was Halo 4, 5, and Halo Wars 2. That's what made me a hardcore Halo fan.
Yeah.
Halo 3 is what got me started on Halo, but I was playing on my brother's Xbox. I was playing on our older brother's Xbox, and they would sometimes LAN, and they would trounce us on LAN, and we played campaign. We never actually played online multiplayer besides LAN, and they trounced us at LAN. They played with us so they'd have someone easy to kill, right?
Yeah, as you do, yeah.
Yeah, as you do, but I never. Halo 3 didn't make me into the fan of Halo I am today. It was Halo 4, 5, and Halo Wars 2, right? So they're not catering to me because I would rather play Halo 5 than MCC because I like it being a little more fast paced, right? I'm not as interested. I mean, I love Halo 3 multiplayer, and I love Halo 4 multiplayer and all these other multiplayers, but with the Master Chief Collection, it's just I would rather play Halo 5 because that's what I've synced and put the most time into.
Yeah, and you really like it, and it sucks to see a game not supported. A game you are passionate about and you enjoy, and like you said, just have you thrown under the rug and have your game thrown in the bushes uh, because they want to get and moving on to the next project. But who
Yeah,
knows
well,
if that's even gonna.
back to the main story of what we're talking about. I feel like they most likely won't do a Halo Wars 3, which would sadden me because they don't cater. If if it didn't do perfectly for them, they just put it in behind them and forget about it like it never happened, right?
That's what it
And
seems
Halo
like.
Wars 2 didn't do the best, right? So I don't think they want to make a Halo Wars 3. But to me, it's like there's tons of people out there who do want one, and it's just got to be done right. You could actually get a lot more fans of people of RTS who also like Halo. Just do it right.
I agree. Yeah, yeah. It's
I mean, I don't know what it's gonna be. I don't know what the new project is gonna be. What do you think?
I think it's Halo a 343 rant about 343 needs to get their crap together. Uh, which I don't know. I really have no idea what it could be. All I know is that uh I hope it's a side one that I think a horror game would be really freaking cool.
I do think that that would be awesome if it was done right. You could be an ODST,
Yeah,
trapped
with the
somewhere,
flood.
having to like run from the flood or something. And you have very limited ammunition and like you're having to hide the best you can and you kill some of them, but you mostly like hiding and running.
Yeah, yeah. Uh, well, we'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens with Halo Infinite. We'll see if this rumor is even has any truth to it. Which I think it has some truth to it, but we'll just have to see. And that's with a lot of things. Just gonna have to wait and see. But I can't wait to see. I want to know
Me
now.
neither.
I want to know
So,
now.
like we've said with the other topics, I mean, we're wrapping up this topic, but especially with Halo, we're going to be talking about Halo throughout the year because there's a lot to talk about this year with Halo. Halo Infinite's going to be coming out at the end of the year, and they better not push it, and they better make it a great game. I'm saying that as a hardcore Halo fan, that this is my
Here's
last
one
chance for
question for
343.
you. If they eventually November comes and they're still not ready and they still have to do some polishing on it, they just need a little bit more time and they delay it, would you rather have that happen or them release the game?
Well, I'd rather have them delay it, but I would be pissed because it's like, what the
Yes.
fuck is going on? It's 3 for 3. If that happens, literally, sorry, excuse my language, but the same thing I thought when they delayed it, when I saw the showing, and it looked fun, but I could tell it wasn't graphically as good as it should be, and then also they delayed the game. I literally had to stop and think, and I got me down in the dumps about the Halo franchise. I literally had to stop and think and just say, what the fuck is going on with 3 for 3? Because this is bullshit.
Yeah, yeah, it's
And that
definitely.
would be the same thing, but it would be worse. But I understand delays, but the thing is, it's been 5 years. No Halo game in history has ever taken 5 years. Halo 3 took 3 years, and that was one of the best Halo games ever.
Yeah,
Saying.
I don't know game development. I couldn't tell you why it's taking this long, but it is. I don't know. It is worrisome to a point.
Anyways, we
Yeah,
got to
let's.
get off of this Halo topic, but we're going to be talking about Halo throughout the year, so stay tuned for that and our other shows. This isn't the last of Halo talk. But anyways, we got some other topics. What's up, crazy mate?
Uh, we've got Battlefield. Battlefield 6 is has been confirmed, and it's a next gen exclusive. Ooh, that's exciting. That's good. I think that's freaking awesome. One thing that I'm excited for
Ew.
is for, because we know Battlefield 4 and stuff, the destructivity in and the buildings, how you could make them. They could really with this next gen, uh, with this next gen exclusive and being able to have all the power, uh, that next gen and not have to cater to old gens, they could really boost that up, that destruction up, and I think that would be freaking awesome because I don't. There's not enough of that in games, in my opinion.
That is one cool thing about the Battlefield franchise is the destruction. Like buildings crumble under you, right? Buildings blow up and the ground you can create a crater from a bomb and stuff like that. I mean, they could
That's
still do
cool
more with the
mechanics.
destruction, but
That's really cool mechanics that you don't really see in very much games, and I want to see that, and I think that it's very very plausible with this it being a next gen exclusive. Another thing is it's I'm pretty sure it's not going to be placed in another World War. Bring back to modern times, you
I
know.
hope so. To
Yes.
me, to me, that is what I want from Battlefield 6. If you were to ask me, hey, Infinite, hey, what do you want from Battlefield 6? What is the number thing you want? I would tell you, I want to return to modern times. I want Battlefield 4 era, which didn't hit the mark at the beginning when it first came out in 2012, but throughout the years up to 2016, it was still the mainline Battlefield, right?
Yeah.
It did amazing. Like people, they updated and they kept up with it and they pushed it through. They made the game better, and that was an amazing experience. Battlefield 4 was loved, and that was in the modern era. And then we had World War One and World War Two. It's been almost 10 years. I want another modern war. I want another modern war Battlefield, and not. I mean, we saw Call of Duty go back to modern war, right? I mean, with Modern Warfare 2019. But Battlefield is different than Call of Duty. You see the destruction. It feels
That's
more
what
like you're an actual soldier in a war than just
you're actually in a
in
battlefield. Yeah, yeah,
a
that's what I
simulation.
want. That's what you that bring that feel. But here's another thing. Uh, do you think that they are going to make it in Unreal or Frostbite, or whatever, and or which one should they make it in? Do you think they should make it in Unreal, or do you think they're gonna make it in Frostbite, or do you think they might make it in Unreal?
I think there's a possibility they could make it in the Unreal 5 or 4 or 5. I mean, apparently with 5 should be coming out either at the end of this year or beginning of next year, but apparently it's pretty easy to move from 4 to 5, and if you have a game that you've been developing on 4, it's pretty easy to like upgrade it to 5 and change some things. But I do think they'll stick with Frostbite. I mean, it's actually worked pretty well. They haven't had a ton of issues. Frostbite's one of EA's better engines.
Yeah.
I mean, Frostbite to me isn't really bad, and I think having to learn a whole new engine. I mean, sure, Unreal is an industry standard, but when you have the people over there at Dice, you know,
Yeah,
they
and
know Frostbite like
they
the back of
know
their hand.
very well, and isn't it made mainly for like Battlefield?
Yeah,
Yeah, so if you have it made, but if you have it made specifically for that, and that's the game that utilizes its best, then by all means, I think you should stick with it uh, and keep it. But if it's part of a reason it's dragging you down, then it's best to just move on before sooner rather than later.
sure. I mean, if it is pulling them down and they're not, if it's not, if the game's gonna be better being made on Unreal 4 or 5, 5. I'm sticking with 5 because I think depending on when the game comes out, and maybe they're not able to do 5 because they would have to push the game back. Maybe they're gonna stick with 4 because you're not gonna start seeing games being made on 5. I
For
think
a little
games
while, yeah.
released next year are gonna be 5. I think games released next year that use Unreal is gonna be on 5. But I think with the game already being in development, right off the hills and just right off of Battlefield 5, which was on the Frostbite as well, I do think it's going to be on Frostbite again. I don't necessarily think Frostbite is holding them back. I think a lot of the things actually, and I think we can get into the weeds with this, but with the next gen exclusive, like since when have we seen not even a year from the new consoles coming out? Talk about any generation, and there's already a next gen third party exclusive. Third party. I'm not talking first party. I'm talking third party exclusive. What gaming generation, video gaming generation, have we seen that there's been a third party exclusive, not even for the next gen consoles, not even a year after the release of the next gen consoles? To me, it's unheard of.
Yeah, yeah. But it's
I
that
think
that that
though
is
we're
that is true, but it's it's not a bad thing.
no, I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it's actually more necessary now than ever because
Yes.
the old hardware has such it's I don't care what people say. To me, the old hardware is holding back. It's holding everyone back because the simple fact of SSDs, you know, the SSDs matter. They make games faster. They make games play better and more smooth. And if you could take the SSD and the CPU in tandem, like the new generation is doing, it makes games more smooth, makes assets load easier, right? It just makes everything better, in my opinion. And the old gen hardware, I think, would hold Battlefield 6 back.
Yeah, yeah. There's no doubt. Uh, it's
And I think,
you have ambitions for a game and stuff like that, but you can't do it because of hardware. Of course, you're gonna want to go to where you can actually make that happen and get off of your limitations. Get rid of your
exactly.
limitations. What's limiting you, and that makes perfect sense.
Well, I think, like I was saying, we're gonna start seeing a lot more games that are gonna be next gen exclusives sooner than we have in past generations. Like I don't know about the next Call of Duty. I imagine the next Call of Duty game is probably going to be on Xbox One too. But to me, they'd be smarter in making the next gen exclusive. The game's going to be better. But I can understand with like Call of Duty, they got such a tight schedule and stuff. But I don't know. Like it's one of those things. Who knows? But to me, we saw back in 2013 there was the Call of Duty Ghost that came out. That was on 360 and one, PS3, PS4. Then we had Advanced Warfare that was still worked on by Sledgehammer on both the 360 and the one and the PS3 and PS4. But then 2015 came along, and even though we did have Black Ops 3, it was on the Xbox 360 and PS3. It was done by a those ports were done by a different studio completely, right?
Yeah.
So I think we're going to see with the Call of Duty franchise in general, which is actually, if we look at like their past generations, between 7th and 8th gen, this is something we could talk about, but I think we're going to see the next Call of Duty 2021 is going to be a last gen port as well. But then I think when 2022 hits, they're not even going to do last gen port. I think it's just going to be like not a thing. I honestly don't even think they'll do. I think it'll be all next gen. I think most games by 2022 they're just going to be next gen only. I don't think. I do think the
That
7 years.
could depend on the transition rate of how many consoles, new gen consoles, get sold and get out there. Because if your ratio is still, especially for Call of Duty, massively on the older gen consoles, the One and the PlayStation 4, then it's not in your best interest to get over. So it's a lot of it and heavily on the adoption rate for some games, but I think it is good to push and leave this last gen behind and to give them something enticing that they want. Give them a reason to go over to the next gen. If you kind of don't give them a reason to, then why would they?
True.
It's kind of like on both sides of things, you know.
I think they've already given people reasons to move to next gen. They already have. People need the easiest transition that it's ever been in any generation.
Yeah, but there's a lot of consumers and casuals out there that they need to see it before they're actually like, whoa, convinced and like, whoa, what is this? I really want this. Oh, it's only next gen console. I'm gonna get it on next gen. This is looks freaking amazing. It's super enticing. Now I've got just even more reasons to get it. So might as well, yeah.
Next gen starts at $300, and then the next option is $400, and the next option after that's $500. So it's not hard to jump into next gen.
Oh,
it really isn't. Like, save your money, jump into next gen. You get a Series S or a digital all digital PlayStation 5, or if you really want the disc versions and the really really high tech, the best of the best, then you get the Series X with the PS5 disc.
What's the cheapest the Xbox One X ever got?
$300 retail.
Yeah, what's the cheapest the One S got?
$300 retail. The One S, about $250 retail.
Yeah, that didn't stop people from not moving over from the 360.
Yeah, but it took a lot longer to get to this point.
Yeah, it did.
It took a lot longer to get to these prices than it has out of the gate with the next gen. I understand what you're saying with games, though. They gotta have games that show it.
Yeah, they gotta have games that show it. They've gotta have, because a lot of that may not be enough reason. You know, you still see people playing on 360s. People still playing on older PlayStations. On these old consoles.
I know.
Yeah, like the PlayStation 3.
I think what you're gonna see is, if any, say you don't have even an Xbox One or a PS4, and you don't have the new gen, obviously you don't have PS5 or Series console, right? And you go to your buddy's place and he has like a PS5 or an Xbox Series X, right? You play on his console. You play a game that you play. You play Destiny 1 on your 360 and you enjoy it, and you try Destiny 2 on the new console and you're really enjoying it, right?
Yeah.
To me, one of the first things people would notice is the load times and the speed, right? I think once you use an SSD, you can't go back. And I think SSD is actually pushing people forward, and it's going to catapult people in the next gen as well. I think there's so many things that is actually what's holding them back now is production. I think there are so many things that's going to push them. I think next gen, I think this gen, I need to stop saying next gen because it's this gen. I think the ninth generation of consoles is going to sell better than any generation of consoles ever. Like, as a pool, not like, I'm not necessarily saying that we're going to beat out I'm not saying we're necessarily going to be out the PS2 on sales with either the PS5 or the Xbox Series or the Switch Pro if they do that, right? I'm not saying that, but as a pool, as an industry with next gen consoles, between the Xbox consoles, between the PlayStation consoles, between the Nintendo consoles, I think the ninth generation is going to outsell as a
Oh yeah, I'm not saying it's not. I think it is going to too. But I'm just theorizing and spectating here on what may cause people to not move over, what may cause developers to not transition so quickly, the cause of effect of things. But I do
yeah.
think that it's going to it already is the fastest adopted transition in next gen, and I think it's just going to keep going up from where it's at, especially once you actually get stock in, once they actually get stocking of them.
Well, we were talking about Battlefield 6 and what we think is going to happen with the game. It's going to be coming out fall 2021. I truly believe maybe in October. I'm thinking probably October. I'm hoping it's a modern war game. And we should be seeing sometime in the spring, maybe April, May, we should be seeing a good showing for Battlefield 6. Where they'll reveal the game and show us some stuff about it,
Yeah.
And it is a next gen only port, and that's why we started to talk about next gen and next gen only, and what's gonna make them make games for next gen only, and if it matters, and why to me it does matter. Anyways, you got more to say on that? If you do, go ahead, but
No,
if not, we can move on to the next topic.
no. I think we got up next. One of the last ones would be the medium and
Let's
kind of
talk
what we.
about the Division 2 first.
Oh yeah, yeah. I completely forgot about that. The Division Two. Uh, what about the Division Two?
Well, they have the Series X and Series S and the PlayStation 5. They have the next gen port for the Division 2 that just came out. So there's actually a next gen patch that they did for the Division 2. And shockers, the Series X is looking a lot better than the PS5. The lighting's better, the shadow's better, the detail's better, smoother, better resolution.
Yeah.
Series X is a more powerful console, and I mean, we saw back in November all these games coming out that were playing better on the PlayStation 5, and people were wondering why. And then also people were talking about tool sets and the possibility, oh, well, maybe the tool sets aren't as mature on this Xbox consoles, and they haven't had enough time to be able to make as good games, and they still need to maybe it's the developers not having the correct tools, maybe it's not the hardware, which we know the hardware can do better, and that's what it was, because you even saw like Valhalla did a patch which made the game more smooth and the lighting better and the resolution better, right? And then we've seen it. Watch Dogs Legion is updating the game again. I mean, it's still running at 30 FPS, but that's a limitation with the ray tracing, I believe. But and we see these new games coming out, like Hitman 3 looks better on the Series X, and now we've seen the Division 2 patch, and Destiny 2 is looking really good on the Series X after they've done a couple patches. So what we're seeing here is more and more games are going to be upgraded and patched in for next gen, older games, because now more than ever in this gaming universe, we're living in a service, games as a service, right? Where the new stuff, like the game back in the days, like they didn't do much to make a game that was already out, even if people played it. Like they didn't do much to bring it to next gen, besides maybe making a next gen port, which, like, let's say with Skyrim, they made a next gen port, right? They didn't. It wasn't free for one, but also it wasn't just a patch or an upgrade type of thing. It was just the next. And you buy the game again, right? You buy the game again for a new console, right? And you start over. Your cloud save. You don't have cloud saves and all this stuff. Well, it's moving forward from that, and we actually have cloud saves. It's more of a patch. You don't have to buy the game again for the most part. I mean, we see some things where we do, especially with PlayStation, they're having a harder time with this transition. But Xbox has been really awesome with this transition to be able to do the smart play or whatever they call it.
Yeah.
Anyways, what are your thoughts on this news about Division 2 and the next gen patch, and it's looking really good on the Series X, better than the PS5? What's your thought on that?
Uh, my thought on that is it's exciting. It's great to see games getting next gen packages and getting moved into the next gen. Uh, the real question is bad of it, how much of a difference is it from uh, from the PlayStation 5 between the Series X? Uh, what is the difference there? Is it like a kind of a massive leap, or just like a not so uh,
So,
it's a smaller kind of difference gap between there? But there's one thing that there is there is fog on the Series S version of the Division 2, that it's kind of like illuminating fog. And
what I've
wondering
heard
why
is the
that is there.
Series S version is almost as good as the PlayStation 5 version.
Yeah. So it's on par
Yeah,
with the
and
Series S version. That's
yeah,
interesting.
the PlayStation 5
Huh.
version if you put a side by side comparison to the Series X version, the PlayStation 5 version looks flat. Like flat. The lighting isn't as good, the shadow detail isn't as good. You can tell the ray tracing isn't bumped up as much if they're using ray tracing, right? Which I haven't looked into if they are if they've added that in yet. And the resolution is not as good.
Yeah.
And I think they're both hitting 60 frames per second, but that's because they've learned to lower the resolution to hit frames, because frames matter, because games making a
Oh
game
yeah,
smooth
frames.
is important.
Oh yeah, that frames are super important. And as a PC gamer that has an SSD, I I can't go back. I it's so difficult from even just downloading the game on your SSD to just the loading into it, and the load times of loading into it, and how fast that is. And then you go to a regular hard disk, and it's or a regular hard drive, and the difference is it's so much. Uh,
It is.
it's very noticeable, and you feel like you're sitting there forever.
Some people, I've actually heard some people are like, "Oh, I kind of like that break to be able to go get a drink or go to the bathroom or get a snack or something." I'm like, it takes
Casual
me out of the
gamer.
experience because I
That's
immediately
a
get on my
casual
phone.
gamer. That
Yeah,
that
I
that
immediately
would
get
be
on my phone.
yeah. That would be a casual gamer that wouldn't really mind that. But hardcore people that are into it at this, like, oh, I love this. It does. It takes you out of that experience in loading screens and load times. It
Yeah, I mean, the SSD is massive in these new consoles, and the PlayStation 5 touted the SSD. They touted the SSD as the best of the best, and so far, we actually haven't seen a massive difference. Like, the load times on the PlayStation 5 aren't massively better than the Series X, and this is stuff that Diller talked about before the consoles even came out. I mean, like, yeah, on paper it's actually quite a big leap, but in in practice it's not much better.
yeah. Why do you think that is?
I think it goes back to tools and development. I think that people need to get more versed, like developers need to get more versed on the best way to develop for the new SSDs. I mean, I think the SSDs in the Xbox are a little more streamlined, more like PC SSDs, and then the PlayStation 5 SSD is a little more custom SSD. So I think that could be something.
Yeah, yeah. That is true. They're kind of no. generally more about it, and you have this new tech, new hardware that they've got to get used to and learn how it works and work out the quirks of of it. That is a good point. That could be it, but we know that the Series X is
Performing pretty good.
performing pretty good. It is the more powerful console. Clearly is. It just takes time to people to get to learn and to get used to it, and that might be the case with PlayStation's SSD. It just might need more time to to learn and to better utilize the tools and the hardware given to these developers.
I think just like back in November when we had the PlayStation, I hate like it's. I like PlayStation fans. I'm a PlayStation fan, but there's different like tiers of a PlayStation fan. There's me. I'm a casual PlayStation fan, and there's like, more middle of the pack PlayStation fans. They mainly play on PlayStation, but they're just gamers in general, right? And then you got the hardest of the hardcore. They wouldn't ever be caught playing on an Xbox because PlayStation is the best of them all, and nothing's better than PlayStation, right? And those are what I call ponies, right? And the
yeah.
ponies back in November were saying like, "What? The Xbox Series X sucks. It can't play the games as good as the PS5. Oh, all this power you touted, the Xbox touted, and it's not even playing games as good as the PS5." Well, now we're seeing a flip flop, right? We're already it didn't take long to see a flip flop where now games are playing better on the Series X, and it's going to be this way until throughout the gen, unless they release a upgraded PS5, like a PS5 Pro or something. It's going to be this way because the Series X is just a better hardware overall when it comes to the CPU, the GPU, and the SSD working in tandem with the velocity architecture, right? And machine learning and full RDNA 2. It actually does matter, and we need to keep watching and seeing if maybe the PlayStation 5 starts getting better because development people start being able to develop easier for it. I mean, it's not a hard console to developer. People are saying it's a little bit easier to develop for the PS5 than the Xbox Series console. Neither of them, I don't think, are too hard to develop for. Not like the cell architecture in the PS3, But maybe we'll see the PS5 start narrowing the gap over the years, and that's something we got to watch for.
Yeah, well, it's not a bad thing. Xbox Series X may be the most powerful console, but the PlayStation 5, every next gen console is a beast. They're beast consoles. It's amazing hardware, and for the prices that we're getting them for, it's incredible, and it shouldn't really matter that much. It's like you're paying what is there's the same amount of money for the little more powerful console between the PlayStation 5 and the Series X
and the Xbox Series X. You pay the same amount of money and you get a more powerful console. Now then it comes down to preference on, do you like PlayStation games? Do you like the PlayStation ecosystem better than the Xbox ecosystem? But as well, go ahead.
And I was just saying, they're both really good consoles. PlayStation 5 still is a really great console. That's got some features that like the new controller. It's really
the controller
really cool.
has some cooler things. So but where PlayStation really hit the mark with this gen was the PlayStation 5 all digital edition, or PlayStation 5 digital edition, right? Where they're at a $400 price point. And if you get a lot of people who have been playing on PlayStation, they don't really care to upgrade yet. Like, let's say Chandler or something. Maybe he feels like in the next year or two, he's like, "Oh, I see a PlayStation 5 digital edition on the shelf, and I have mostly digital games through PlayStation, and that's only $400. Why would I pay an extra $100 for a disc drive, right?" So they
Yeah.
really hit the mark being able to hit a $400 point on that.
Yeah, that was thing that we it was a little bit surprising to see that they were able to actually get one down to that price. Uh, but it's just it's good for consumers. It's good for gamers that's the case. We like you said, you've got a 300, 400, and $500 option. It's got four options, three different price ranges, and that's really good. And you see more people going in both directions. You know, buying an Xbox uh, Series S and a PlayStation 5 all digital.
True. And that was a topic that we were talking about. The we were talking about Division 2 and the next gen upgrade and how we're starting to see the Series X being favored as a better hardware, and we're wondering if maybe the PlayStation 5 will narrow the gap as the future goes on. We'll keep an eye on this with other next gen patches, maybe specifically the CD Projekt Red's Cyberpunk 2077 that's supposed to be coming this fall. We'll have that next gen patch come out this fall sometime is what's supposed to be happening. So that one will be a really interesting one to see the differences, and Digital Foundry will break that apart as they always do.
Yeah. Uh, that's all I have to say about that. And then differences between the hardware and the Division 2 and showing that's showing you're seeing the differences right there between that even the PlayStation 5 version is kind of on par with the S version is insane to me. That's crazy.
In some instances, not a ton of instances, but some.
That's that little tiny box, $300, is a beast house. It's a beast console. It really is. And you got the big brother, the Series X. But yeah, that's all I gotta say on it. Let's get into our medium impressions. We've both been playing the medium. I've been playing with my girlfriend and
I've been playing with my wife.
Yeah, he's been playing with his wife. I haven't finished it yet.
Neither have I.
But what I am playing of it, it's good. I like the story. I really like the story. But the gameplay is kind of simple. It's not really robust. There's not really a ton of interactive gameplay. You know, you have different mechanics between the two worlds. And there's like not really much puzzles. The puzzles are kind of similar and simple, not really complicated or diverse. But I don't care. I'm enjoying the game. I'm enjoying the story. I'm enjoying the time with my girlfriend. But I play that type of game mostly for the intriguing story, and I'm the type of person that's like, I'll take forever because I'll go in each room and I'll run into walls. I'll be like, oh, I can't go this way or something, just because I'm trying to look for things and look for other areas that might be off the beaten path, but this game kind of doesn't have any areas off the beaten path. There's some, you know, here and there, but just a tiny area you might find something, but you kind of need to find that for the story anyways. But the story I'm enjoying. There's been some jump scares. There's it's not like super terrifying, but I can get like pretty scared when the monster's after you and you're trying to hide from it and not get detected, and nerve-wracking and thrilling, a thriller. It's from what I've played of it, and so far it's not like super scary by any sense. It's ominous, and it's I like the feel the environment gives you, especially in uh, the spirit world, say, and the look of the spirit world is really unique and interesting, and I like that. Uh, and and the story, I'm really enjoying the story, and I'm really excited to get into it more and finish it, and uh, actually finish it. But I'm having fun with it. Like the despite the gameplay being very limited, simple, and robust, it's still I'm still having fun. I'm still enjoying it because I play it. I'm playing it for the story and the experience with my girlfriend, and it's been real fun.
Well, that's good. I'm glad you've been having fun, crazy mate. Been having fun with the game too. I like your thoughts on the game actually. I like what you had to say about, and I agree with some points, and there's some other points that I actually want to tell you my opinion or tell the chat or anybody listening my opinion on the game. And so the puzzles aren't hard. They're really not. There was one puzzle I had, and to preface this, we're doing a spoiler-free, not really a review. It's just what were you saying it was? Not a review. Oh, dang. It's more like impressions. Yeah, there
Yeah,
it is.
our impressions of it.
Impressions of the game. So we'll have more of a review when we both finish the game, and we still won't be doing any spoilers. Bloober team actually did a really good job with their marketing and also with the marketing to not do any spoilers. So we had those there was 3 3-minute gameplay sections that they showed off, and those didn't really show any spoilers. I mean, there was a couple things that I guess you could say was spoiler, but that's more of a gameplay mechanic. So what I'm going to talk about is actually on those gameplay any of the things that I'll talk about that could be like a story, could not really a story, but could be any sort of spoiler, is actually going to be on the 3-minute gameplay, like the 9-minute, but the three different sections that were about 3 minutes long each. For the gameplay trailer that they released in January, the beginning of January. So what I'll talk about will be on that. But the Maw is a creature that was on there, and I'm not going to really go too much into him, but he is kind of a scary creature that is trying to hunt you in a sense, right? And you have to run away from him. So this is different from games like Resident Evil, because with this game you don't have guns, you don't have weapons. The only weapon per se you have is a spirit blast, right? Which your spirit. So it's only your spirit or you in the spirit world, the character you play as in the spirit world, that's the only person, that's the only time you can even use a spirit blast, right? So that is a way to counteract, like if you get caught by the maw, so you don't just die off the bat by getting caught, which most of the time you will, especially if you're in the real world and not in the spirit world, you'll get caught and you'll just die and you'll have to figure out a better way. So back to the puzzles specifically, this is not like Tomb Raider puzzles, not at all. This is not like Hellblade Senua's Sacrifice puzzles. I mean, some of those were a little hard for me, and then sometimes in Tomb Raider they got a little bit hard puzzles as well. This isn't Zelda puzzles, you know. I'd say this is even more simple than Resident Evil puzzles, but I played Resident Evil 1, and so far with the puzzles so far, this is probably the closest comparison I can make, is that the medium is more like Resident Evil, the first Resident Evil, when it comes to puzzles. Those puzzles weren't really too hard. You mostly just had to have items. You find items, and you can't progress through certain areas if you don't have an item, right? But even more than that, I felt like the puzzles are even more simple in this game than Resident Evil 1, which they were pretty simple in Resident Evil 1. I mean, there was a couple of them that were head scratchers. I did have this one part where and it's interesting, where me and my wife couldn't figure out where to go, and we were kind of stumped a little bit.
I was
But
wondering if it's the same part I had troubles at. I'm
probably
kind of thinking it might be. You just have to use a certain ability to
no, that wasn't it.
no to
Well,
find what you
not
need.
exactly. It was that. It was we had to use an ability. It might be the same place, but It's because we didn't look at the spirit world screen, because there's certain times where they do the dual screens where you can see what's happening in the real world and the spirit world, and you can see the character. You're the character in the real world, but the other part of you, you're a medium, right? You can interact with both worlds at the same time. So we were looking at the real world, and we didn't know where to go because we were blocked off from going in all these directions, but we didn't look at the right world, the right side, which was the spirit world, where it showed us that we could go that way. But then use we had to it's like a shift, phase shift or something, where you can, even though you're tethered as the same person trying to walk through both worlds, and when you move your character in the real world, it moves in the spirit world, even though it looks a little different, right?
Yeah, you can untether basically.
But you untether, and you can just be the spirit person for a shorter period of time. You can just be in the spirit world for a short period of time, and not a long time, because you will dissipate, you will disappear and die and be stuck in that world forever. Anyways, so what we had to do is we had to shift into just the spirit world, and we were able to unlock a pathway for us in the real world and the spirit world together by unlocking something in the spirit world that affected the real world. So that was one part that was a little confusing, but it wasn't because it was a hard puzzle. It's because we weren't paying as much attention to the spirit world side as we should have. And that to me is actually really interesting, because when you think about a game like this, it's not just a split screen game.
It's
It's
actually
a
two
two
different
world
worlds.
game.
Yeah, there's actually two different worlds.
Yeah.
And which I think is really cool, and I really enjoy that aspect, you know. And even just the untethering and being able to walk around in the untethered in the spirit world. That's a really cool mechanic, and just there's just the dual worlds altogether. I think is an amazing mechanic, and it's it, it makes it unique and interesting. You know, something I haven't really experienced or played before that's like it in that sense.
True. So I kind of want to go over a little bit about the meta score, which I don't get held up on meta scores, but I thought it'd be interesting to talk about it. I mean, a lot of people, they might not play a game if it doesn't have a good meta score or a user score or something like that. They might think like, oh, there's no way I'm gonna play a game unless it's top notch, right? Well, me, I don't really care. If the game looks interesting, I'll give it a try. Anyways, but the meta score sitting at it is 76, and the reviews, most notable critical reviews actually aren't giving it too bad of a score. You do have some that give it bad, like CG Magazine. Say it's a poor game that's rife with bugs, bad ideas, and some nice things to look at. I don't really think that that's that in depth. I don't think it's
Bugs.
that
I
in
haven't
depth of
really
a
encountered really any
review.
bugs. No. Bad
There
ideas?
was
No.
one time I got kicked out of the game, like it crashed on me. I had a crash. It was one
Well,
time.
well, never mind. That's not really true because I had to delete the game and re-download it because it kept getting locked on. I see the blooper image come up and then it would just turn black and that's it. But I'm pretty sure that was a syncing with Xbox Live problem, not bugs in the actual game.
Yeah. So that one was a notable one I saw, but a lot of them, like you see, GameSpot gave it a 90. You know, it talks about narrative being good and the threads between the spirit world and the real world connecting together to tell a good story. You know, talks about fascinating ways that they've done that and are able to thrill and almost scare you in a way. I'd say it's more thrilling than scary.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah, definitely that.
but I don't agree with these bad reviews. I mean, some of them maybe, but a lot of them, when you get down to it, is like, oh, it's just a poor game that's rife with bugs, bad ideas, and nice things to look at. I don't think that's really a good review. Or when you get
Doesn't
Games
sounds
Radar
like
gave it a
lazy
50. The
writing.
medium isn't, huh?
Sounds like lazy writing to me.
Yeah, yeah, to me it does. And then Games Radar gave it a 50, saying the medium isn't even really a horror game, despite the setting and themes, and lacks any scares, and it's just cheap jump scares is what it's pretty much saying. And then for a studio focused on creating psychological horror, it's hard to see this mildly spooky action adventure as anything other than a misstep. So I can agree a little more with that, and I don't completely agree with that, but
I
to
think I
me,
like the story and I'm enjoying the story, and
me too.
that's the major part that you're gonna play. It's like Resident Evil, like the story is so incredible, and you have that lore in the world, and to me, that's the most attracting part of it, rather than the gameplay. Because the gameplay is like, I mean, the medium is a lot simpler than Resident Evil, but it's it's for the story, and it's still simple gameplay to a point. Uh, but I'm still enjoying it, my experience, and I'm enjoying the story
Same.
most importantly.
So that's something with Metascores, and I agree with some in a sense, but not. I wouldn't give it a 50. I mean, I'm not gonna give it a Metascore now, but if I would, from what I played, it would be more like an 80, 8 out of 10. Anyways, the other thing that got me, what people were saying, which I don't agree with, is why couldn't this be done on Xbox One? Why couldn't this be done on a PlayStation 4? It's just split screen.
It's not
No,
though.
it's not just split screen.
They don't think about. They look. Oh, it's just split screen. It's just showing me two screen. No, like you said, it's two different. It feels when you're in the two different worlds, it feels like two different worlds. That's because it is two
Exactly.
different worlds. They're not the same. They may have similarities and similar layout, but they look completely different and they're rendering completely different things.
Exactly. So I think mistakenly you start seeing people, or you hear people will be like, well, I play Halo 4 or Halo 3 split screen and it's easy. It's just a split screen. You're on a map or a level in the campaign, right? That's pre-rendered, and you have the ability to run around that with two different screens, but it's all the same rendering. It's
Yes,
literally
it
the
is.
same rendering. You're just splitting the screen, and you're having to have two different characters, which does take a load on the CPU, right? But with this, it's two different realities, different assets and textures loaded in for each reality. Things look different. They're not the same. You're not on the same exact map. And yeah, some people say that the spirit world looks a little flat, but to me, they actually add some interesting things like atmosphere to the spirit world that isn't in the real world. They're
Yeah.
adding different atmosphere on a split screen basis, not just split screen, but like a dual world basis. That yeah is it does look split screen in a sense, and I can understand some people thinking, oh,
Like,
it's
well,
just split
you
screen,
have the
but
general layout the same, but so much is different. So much. Your environment looks so different, and everything about your environment is different. Besides the typical layout, because you have to have it kind of similar, and in some instances it's not. You'll have in the spirit world, you'll have a door open, uh, but in the real world it'll be closed, and you can. It's kind of blurred out, but you can kind of see in there, or vice versa. You'll have a door closed in the spirit world, but it'll be open in the real world.
yeah, exactly.
So it's too.
Well,
Yeah,
it's not just the same, but some people say, why can't this be done? It's just split screen. It's kind of annoying. But to me, it's not just split screen because they have to render things differently. There's different assets, there's different textures, there's different atmosphere.
and I think
It's
it's
a different
good.
rendering process, and it needs an SSD. It really does.
Yeah, I think it's good because it adds to that. It adds to that feel like you're actually in a different world, like you're actually in two different worlds.
Yeah,
It adds to that feel, and I don't think they could have accomplished that without rendering two completely different worlds. And you can't, like you said, can't do that without an SSD. You can't.
Exactly. So that was my take on some things people have been saying about it and the meta score and just like thinking about like different opinions and what I'm thinking of the game compared to what maybe other people did. I'm liking the game a lot. It's a great game to me. I like the story, but to me, it's not the game. Like Crazy Mate said, it's not the gameplay that's gonna win any killer awards, right? To me, it's the story and the atmosphere. And yeah, it's not the most scary game in the world, right? But it gives you a thrill. It gives you a chill. You know,
Yeah, it does. It does.
it's not. It's not gonna freak you out and make you feel like demons or zombies are gonna come or attack you at any moment. It's not like super scary, but it gives you a thrill and you feel this atmosphere. You almost feel like you're there, you know? And
Yeah.
that's what you're trying to get out of a game like that. You want to feel like you're there, living in that world where you're in a hotel, you're trying to figure out this story, you're wondering who called you and what was going on, right? Not trying not to get too much into spoilers, but and you're walking through and there's supernatural things going on, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So me, to me, it's fun. I'm gonna finish the game. Me and my wife are gonna finish the game. We kind of haven't played the last couple days, but we're gonna get back to it. And it's it's a game that I'm gonna finish, and I love this type of genre. I'm not. The gameplay isn't the best gameplay in the world. I wouldn't say like, oh, if you want the greatest horror gameplay in the world or the greatest survival gameplay in the world, do this. It's not a survival game. For one, it's a
Story driven.
psychological horror slash thriller, right?
And it's story based and story driven.
Exactly. So I don't really have too much more to say on the medium now because I want to save a lot of the stuff for when I actually finish the game and we
Yeah. Yeah.
do like almost like a review type thing on our podcast of the game. This is more of a the medium impressions, and it's getting a little late, so we should probably wrap it up anyways.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's all we had for you guys tonight. Anyways, this week. Uh, we hope you enjoyed. Well, first, I mean, like we said, we're gonna be playing the medium, uh, but and we have been playing the medium. But of course, I've been playing Civ 6 again. You know, like always, and my friend Pedro as well. Slowly, a lot slower in that than before because I'm playing the medium and I'm trying to find time for everything. You know, but that's what I've been playing, and that's what I basically plan on playing for this next week. What about you, bro?
Well, I haven't been doing as much gaming because I've been spending more time with the family and working and trying to get some stuff around the house figured out. But when I have been playing games, I've mainly been playing the medium with my wife. We play it we play it about 3 times a week, um, for about an hour or two a night, and we're about six to we're about 6 or so hours in, 6 to 8 hours in. And then I did play a little bit of PUBG. I kind of been falling off that game a little bit. It's not. We played together a little bit over the
Oh yeah, that
weekend.
is true. Yeah, we did.
And then I played a little bit of Halo 5. Been playing a little bit of Halo 5, not much of it. It's been enjoyable. Other than that, I haven't really been playing games. I did play a little bit of like Call of Duty, like Modern Warfare and Black Ops, and but not really much of that either. But I don't know, just got to get back into. I've been wanting to get back into single player games, so the games I'm wanting to play, I'm actually wanting to move away from multiplayer because I get in moods where I want to play multiplayer a lot, and then I get in moods where I want to start playing more single player story based, and then it kind of switches, you know.
Yeah,
But
back and
I'm
forth.
getting
Yeah.
back to a mood of wanting to play in single player games, and I want to play the Will of the Wisps because I played about a year ago. I played Ori and the Blind Forest, and I loved the game, and I was excited for the Will of the Wisps to come out, but I didn't end up playing it because my baby was born, and I kind of stopped gaming for a few months because of life change with having a new baby, my first baby. So I stopped playing games and I pushed it to the back burner because I had games like The Last of Us 2 that came out that I really wanted to play as well, and I played that, and then I was on multiplayer gaming kick, and then yeah, so then new consoles came out, and that wasn't really on my mind. I did play a little bit of Forza Horizon 4 the other morning, just a little bit of it, and that was fun. I drove around for about 20 minutes. That was fun.
That's
Um,
awesome, dude. Like, yeah.
yeah, and I want to get into Silent Hill. I want to get into Resident Evil. I want to keep on a horror kick. Um, yeah, that's what I've been playing, and that's what I want to play. But we're gonna be wrapping it up now. So
Yeah, that's
one thing,
that's all we got for tonight. What were you gonna say,
yeah,
bro?
I was just gonna say one thing that I do want to ask all of our viewers and anyone listening is if you could like the podcast if you're listening. If you like it, dislike it if you don't like it. That's
Yeah, that's
just
fine.
either way. But if you like it, please like it, and if you don't like it, I guess dislike it. But as well as subscribing, sharing our podcasts out if you like it and you want to share it with your friend. Subscribe to the channel, like I said. Follow
Leave a
me,
comment.
Infinite AA.
Talk to us. Ask a question in the comments
Yeah,
after this goes up.
comment.
And
Exactly.
we'll talk to you and chat with you interaction. And then tune in next week at 7 o'clock Mountain Time on Wednesday. Every Wednesday,
Yeah.
7 o'clock Mountain Time. But we hope you
No.
enjoyed.
So follow Infinite AA 117 on Twitter, as well as the BIA Gamecast, which is at BIA Gamecast on Twitter, for more info on there about our streams, about what's going on in the gaming verse, sharing some stuff, learn some stuff about gaming.
And chat with us. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
Uh,
and chat with us. And shoot us a DM if you want to talk.
yeah. Thanks for watching. We hope you enjoyed. And we'll see you guys next week or whenever you tune in. Thank you.
Yep. See ya. This has been the Brothers in Arms Gamecast.